There are 8 players on the Steelers roster bubble right now that I think need to have a strong performance this Thursday night against the Atlanta Falcons. I'm going to be revealing those 8 names here on today's show. But before we get into today's action, go ahead and click that subscribe button because we're going to be having our live watch party on Thursday when the Steelers play the Atlanta Falcons there. It's going to be a great time. We had an awesome time in our Week 1 watch party, and now it's Week 3. We're getting ready for Week 1 of the 2023 regular season here by finishing off the preseason with a bang here. So go ahead, click that subscribe button right now for our live watch parties all season long. All right, now stick around till the end of today's video because I got 8 guys on the roster bubble that I'm breaking down today, but I also have somebody that's a real cut candidate right now. A lot of people think is going to get cut, but I think is going to be a surprise addition to the 53-man roster. Now, without further ado, let's get to these roster bubble players, starting with the newly signed wide receiver, Aaron Cruikshank, formerly with the Chicago Bears. He was signed again earlier this week, and he's seen as more of a special teams ace, as a punt and kickoff return man. And I think that he's somebody that you got to keep your eye on when it comes to this week against the Atlanta Falcons. He needs to play well this week, obviously, because this is going to be his only chance to show what he can do in the preseason. And I think he's going to get multiple opportunities on special teams to show the Steelers coaching staff what he can do as a punt and kickoff return man. And then speaking of this position here, that's kind of a bit fluid right now, which is the punt and kickoff return man for the Steelers. Gunnar Olszewski also needs to have a very strong performance, in my opinion, on Thursday night if he wants to secure a roster spot for himself. Last year, Gunnar was the punt return man for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Had a couple of very key mistakes, however, that led to some key losses early on in the season. A lot of people remember that well. And I'm looking at Gunnar Olszewski coming into Thursday night. He's going to get a couple of opportunities, I think, on the punt and kickoff return as well. We've seen Jordan Byrd. We've seen Calvin Austin III. Now I think it's Gunnar's turn to show what he can do. And if he doesn't do all that well and say Aaron Cruikshank really shows out here on this Thursday night matchup, I think Gunnar Olszewski's head could be on the chopping block here. Now, let me know which one of these guys you think is going to end up making the final 53-man roster. If you could only pick one, who are you keeping as a special teams specialist? Is it Aaron Cruikshank? Give me an AC, or is it Gunnar Olszewski? Give me a go down there in the comments. This is going to be the pinned comment on today's show. So whenever YouTube throws you an ad break here in just a couple of seconds, take advantage of that time by answering today's pinned question. And speaking of newly signed Steelers, let's talk about Xazavian Valladay. They got a little bit of action against the Buffalo Bills last Saturday and actually looked pretty darn good, pretty darn explosive. And I think that Valladay is the type of player that could potentially be a 4th running back on this Steelers 53-man roster. Now, I think it might be a little bit of an uphill battle because you do have Najee Harris, you do have Jaylen Warren, you do have Anthony McFarland, and I think those 3 guys are locked in as your top 3 running backs. But I think the big question here is how many running backs will the Steelers carry on their 53-man roster? Some teams carry 3, some teams carry 4, and right now I definitely think Xazavian Valladay is the favorite to be the running back 4 if they want to carry 4. He's going to have a good performance this week against the Falcons, in my opinion, if he's going to secure that spot. But I also think that Valladay would be probably a practice squad priority if he doesn't end up making the 53. And then another player they got to keep your eye on here this week is Spencer Anderson, the rookie offensive lineman out of the University of Maryland. You know, he's played on the interior, he's played on the exterior, he's gotten a couple snaps at center during Steelers training camp, but he's been mostly playing at tackle right now, and it's going to be a big question mark as to just how do the Steelers view this guy. Do they view him as kind of a versatile chess piece, a depth piece that they can put anywhere on the offensive line? Do they see him as a true offensive tackle? And do they really feel like like there is an opportunity for him to make the 53-man roster. Will he be a practice squad priority, or is he somebody that they want on the field on game days this year? I think that he's somebody that needs to perform well here this week if he's going to end up making the final 53, because he's definitely been on and off throughout the preseason, and he needs to finish off strong here this week with a nice performance in Atlanta. Now, coming up here, I've got 4 more bubble players to break down with you guys that need to perform well on Thursday Night Football this week against the Atlanta Falcons. But before I get into those bubble players, go ahead and check out our friends at Fanatics and get yourself ready for the 2023 season here by getting the Steelers t-shirt combo from our friends at Fanatics. Go to chatsports.com/Steelers combo to get your hands on this awesome pair of t-shirts, man. You got the black short sleeve with the Steelers helmet on there. And then, of course, you've got the white long sleeve with the Steelers logo. You know, I think this is a perfect combination for game days this year, because on those hot days, you can wear that long sleeve white t-shirt. It's a little bit more forgiving than a black long sleeve. And then, you know, I like the black coloring on the short sleeve because it's a short sleeve. It's a little bit more forgiving in that regard. So if you want to go chatsports.com/Steelers combo, that's our link. Fanatics will know that we sent you guys. So go ahead right now, use our link to get your hands on this awesome pair of Steelers t-shirts today. All right, now I think that the cornerback position is definitely interesting heading into cut day, which is, of course, August 29th, next week. And I'm looking at this position as it's very wide open. There's a lot of guys that could end up getting cut and a lot of guys that could end up making the final roster. Now, we do have a couple of players that I think are definite locks at the position this year, and we'll get into those here in just a second. But there's also quite a few players that, you know, are definitely on the bubble here heading into the final preseason game against the Atlanta Falcons. So the guys that are on the bubble, okay, James Pierre, Luq Barcoo, Madre Harper, and Lavert Hill. I think all of these guys have an opportunity to make the final 53-man roster, okay? And we'll get into those reasons for each of these individuals in just a second. But first, let's look at the likely roster locks at the cornerback position. You got Patrick Peterson and Levi Wallace as your pretty nice 1-2 combo there. We had Patrick Peterson in there twice, but actually Joey Porter Jr. should be there. So he's going to be making the roster as well. Chandon Sullivan and Elijah Riley, I think, have both earned roster spots in the slot here. I don't know who's going to be the starter between those two guys, but I think that both of them will end up making the final 53. Now let's break down some of these guys on the roster bubble, starting with James Pierre, who, of course, was on the Steelers last year, played quite a bit for the Steelers last year, had that really nice interception against the Indianapolis Colts on Monday Night Football. It's a very memorable interception. And he's a very solid backup corner, but this year in the preseason, he's had some mental mistakes. He's had some bad coverage moments, and he's definitely left the door open here for another person to come in here and take that 6th cornerback spot on the 53-man roster. Someone like Luq Barcoo, who came in from the XFL this year, and he's somebody that's actually been very impressive in pass coverage to this point in the preseason. He's had some missed tackles and some tackling issues, so if he doesn't make the final roster, it's going to be because of the tackling stuff that's been going on this preseason. Then somebody that is a fan favorite, one of my favorite players on the Steelers roster right now, Madre Harper. We interviewed him on the channel. He's a great personality, really good special teams player, so he might have a little bit of added value there on special teams, but he's a really long corner. He's very physical. You know, he's kind of in that mold of a Corey Trice Jr. or Joey Porter Jr. that Mike Tomlin really likes in this press man heavy scheme. So I'm looking at Madre as somebody that has this physical skill set that they're looking for, along with a great locker room presence, along with special teams ability as well. So he's certainly somebody that could make the final 53. And then the newly signed corner from the XFL this year, or I think USFL, I can't remember which one, but it was Lavert Hill, coming from the University of Michigan. He was a very, very good corner for the Michigan Wolverines. 2-time All-Big Ten, 3rd-team All-American. Very athletic guy, 5'10", 190 pounds. And if he plays well versus the Atlanta Falcons, he shows that he's a reliable tackler. He shows that he can be good in coverage. He could absolutely climb up this depth chart and maybe be a dark horse to make this final 53-man roster as that 6th cornerback, especially if some of these guys above him on the depth chart right now struggle on Thursday night. Now, let me know which guy you want to be that sixth cornerback on the Steelers' final 53-man roster. If you want James Pierre, give me a JP. If you want Luq Barcoo, give me an LB. If you want Madre Harper, give me an MH. Or if you want Lavert Hill, give me an LH down there in the comments section. All right, so now I want to tell you guys my kind of sleeper roster lock at this point. Now, maybe it's not an absolute lock, but this is a player that coming into camp, many people thought, including myself, that there was no shot that he was going to end up making the final 53-man roster. And now that we're going into the final preseason game, I've been incredibly impressed with him throughout the preseason, and I cannot wait to see if he's going to make this final 53 because I think he's deserved it, and that's Dylan Cook. Dylan Cook, formerly with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, now he's with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I think that he's a really, really athletic player. His foot speed is incredible. He's looked way, way, way better than Lavert Clark so far in training camp and in preseason. And if the Pittsburgh Steelers are planning on keeping 4 true offensive tackles here, because you know you're going to keep Dan Moore Jr., you know you're going to keep Chukwuma Okorafor, and you know you're going to keep the first-round rookie Broderick Jones. So first question is here, are they going to keep a 4th offensive tackle? I think they will, because Dylan Cook, man, has looked really, really good as the backup right tackle here in training camp. He's been really moving up the ranks, and he's been a guy on the rise. Lavert Clark has looked really, really bad. He's getting older. He's losing a step here with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and if they're going to be holding on to a 4th offensive tackle here, I have a hunch it's going to be Dylan Cook. Now, let me know what you guys think about Cook down there in the comments section. Will he make the final 53-man roster for your Pittsburgh Steelers here in 2023? Give me a yes or no down there in the comments section to let me know what you guys think. All right, that'll be it for today's show, guys. We are going to be doing the Steelers Talk live show tomorrow. Producer Coop and I will be here to talk some Steelers football with all of you guys. Of course, we have the live show tomorrow and then the watch party on Thursday, so we're going to have a very busy couple of days coming up. Hope you guys are ready because it's going to be a really fun couple of days coming up here. And make sure you click that subscribe button so you always know when we go live on the channel. I'll see you guys later. I really do appreciate all the support. And until next time, here we go, Steelers.